In John 10, Jesus talks about being the good shepherd. I want to give you a side note on this one before we get started. His allusion to being the great shepherd of the sheep goes back to the Old Testament, where God reveals himself as the shepherd of Israel. So Jesus is not just talking about a characteristic of his being, he's declaring that he is God. He's making himself one with God. He is, I am the good shepherd, the one that has been prophesied about, the one that has been talked about. I am he. I am the one. Okay, back to our story, John 10. So here, where Jesus is talking about being the great shepherd of the sheep, we find this little bit in verses 3 and 4. It says, to him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. So context is important. We need to understand that the sheep were kept at night in a sheep pen. It was an enclosure that had 4 walls but no roof. And the shepherd's job was not to keep the sheep in the pen, but to take them out, and it's outside the pen where they can rest, where they can eat, where they can play. Sometimes church tradition makes the church function like a pen, where the goal is to establish strong boundaries that keep people in and keep others out. But if the sheep stay in the pen, they will die. They need a shepherd who calls them out of the bondage of religion and into freedom. The true sheep don't misuse that freedom. They know the shepherd and they listen to his voice. They follow his lead. They let the shepherd show them when and where to eat, to rest, and to play. See, Jesus didn't come to confine us into a set of rules that we believe are going to give us life. Now, there are some shepherds who may abuse the sheep. Some shepherds abuse the sheep for personal gain, as in John 10:13. But Jesus has given his life for his sheep, so we can trust him. As long as we're hearing his voice, we can be confident in the freedom that he gives us, and we don't have to be afraid of that freedom. Why do we keep creating boundaries and walls to try to keep people in, when we have a good shepherd who wants to lead us by his voice? If we are led by his voice, make no mistake, those boundaries, they'll be addressed, they'll be taken care of. Jesus is never going to lead us to do something that's going to be detrimental for ourselves. Jesus is never going to lead us to do something that is self-serving, that is harmful, that leads down the road to death. The key is not to have strong boundaries around us. The key is to learn to hear the shepherd's voice and to follow it. Jesus is the good shepherd. He wants to bring us out into open pastures, into green pastures, where we can experience freedom and life. Are you hearing the voice of the shepherd today? Or are you so bound by religious rules and traditions that you think those are going to keep you safe? Can you trust the shepherd to take you out beyond the boundaries in a healthy way, down the path that leads to life? Jesus is the good shepherd, and we can trust him. So Jesus, we welcome you as the good shepherd. You say that you speak, which implies that we hear your voice. So we trust your voice. Tune our ears to hear you more clearly, that we can enjoy the freedom that you give us, and that you can lead us down the path that leads to life. I want abundant life. So I want you to be my shepherd, and I welcome your voice in my life. Amen.